Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kevin Larson joining you on our very unique short-time bootcamp call here on Thursdays, 3 o'clock. Brand new thing. We're just starting, and I'm super excited about it because we had a lot of traffic on Tuesdays, and now we're branching out to Thursdays, and this is going to be a lot of fun. What we are building right now with Project Mazama is just remarkable. So, I challenge all of you to join the party and get excited about this and start giving people an option to get excited about a new product, but also test out network marketing, right? Test it out when it doesn't cost you anything, when you can not possibly lose anything. Why not give it a shot? The number one thing that people say is, oh, network marketing doesn't work. Well, we can prove to you that it does. We have a sample of it. Come on in and try it out, and we'll show you. So welcome to our call this afternoon. We're going to be going over some interesting things. On the corporate call, just earlier this week, we talked about the shop product that is coming out. And we talked specifically about an ingredient called sustamine. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time today going on a bit of a tangent about sustamine. So what is sustamine? You can see the things on the screen if you're joining us on the webinar online. And you're going to be glad you did that, by the way, in a second if you're joining us online, because I'm going to do something in a moment that we typically haven't done in the past. But on a bootcamp call, I think we can do it. What is sustamine? Well, it's a revolutionary dipeptide that combines pure L-glutamine, that means organic glutamine, and L-alanine to create an ingredient that is more effective than glutamine alone for rehydration and recovery. Now, that's a lot of sciencey words in there, right? Let's break it down for a second. Those are amino acids, obviously, but it's a dipeptide. Well, what's a dipeptide? Because I think sometimes we can talk about the science on these things and get hung up on it and not understand it. A dipeptide is a bonded chain of two amino acids. So like I said, in this case, it's L-glutamine and L-alanine. But it's much smaller than a complete protein. So a dipeptide, the reason that's important is a dipeptide can be transported directly into intestinal cells. The muscles are going to get their nutrients far faster because dipeptides are more efficiently absorbed. So the question would be, well, how does sustamine work? Well, sustamine enhances electrolyte and water absorption in your intestines. If there is one single place, obviously, that's where all your water is going through, your intestines. So you have to have water absorption through your intestines. It also stimulates glycogen synthesis, inhibits muscle protein breakdown, and promotes the synthesis of muscle protein itself. So sustamine is also shown to help protect the integrity of the gastrointestinal tract, contributing to better nutrient absorption. But maybe another question is, why combining something like glutamine and alanine? Well, research shows that a combination of those two things is more effective than glutamine alone for increasing electrolyte and water absorption during exercise or during strenuous activity. It's also the most important amino acid for stimulating muscle protein synthesis, right? So your body's going to be healthier, and really, water. It's the most important thing. Turns out what we have thought, just drinking water, isn't always enough. You got to make sure you're making use of the water while it's on its way through. So interesting stuff, right? But some of you might be saying, well, what's the story with glutamine and glycogen? Well, glycogen is the stuff of energy. We've always talked about in this company about feeding your cells the right things, and if your cells get the nutrients that they need, they can do more. Well, your cell's energy is from glycogen. It's the same form of energy in all animals. It's one of the reasons why we are considered that. And fungi, interestingly enough. fungi actually makes use of the same type of energy, glycogen. But we're going to talk about that on a different call. But that's why we can benefit from a lot of the things that fungi and mushrooms do. But I wanted to take a moment to point something out while we're on this call. See, it turns out that trust sells, and science verifies trust. Everything I just said to you about glycogen and about cysteamine and L-glutamine, alanine, all of them, that's going to, if you're not a scientist, a doctor, or in some other way practicing, that's going to leave you very, very quickly. It's not going to stick around, and you can think, oh, well, they've done their homework and they've done their science, and so it must be right, right? Well, that proves the point that you see on your screen right now. Trust sells, and science simply verifies the trust. If you have someone's trust, then the science is only going to verify to keep that trust. And increasingly in today's economy with products, with health products, you simply need the science to verify the trust. And if people get what they want out of the science and out of the trust, you've got yourself either a sale or a business partner, one of the two. So I want to take a moment to talk about high trust selling on this call, because that is the basis of all network marketing. High trust selling. It's exactly what it is. If they do not have trust in you, it is irrelevant what you're selling, particularly in the network marketing space, right? Why does Monsanto have such a bad name? What if something Monsanto made was actually fantastic? Could you imagine how hard it would be to prove to this audience that Monsanto has something good? It'd be almost impossible, right? Because almost everybody on this call thinks it's a terrible company and they have no trust. They've broken the trust barrier, right? High trust selling. So turns out that there are kind of 6 rules for high trust selling that I want to talk about on this call today. And if you engage in these rules and you are sticking to these rules, high trust selling is going to just happen, and you will get long-term commitment from people that you work with and customers that you gain. So rule number 1, right, is target or targeting. It's the first step of marketing anything, right? And when you're targeting somebody with high trust selling, the first thing that you're going to do is target a need. It has to be something of necessity. One of the reasons I'm so excited about this new 2-ounce shot coming out, and all of the other products that NEWEARTH sells, by the way, is we represent a legitimate need that people have. Is it obvious that people in America have terrible diets? Of course it is. We all know that. We all know that we don't eat the fruits and vegetables that we need to get enzymes, probiotics, and baseline nutrient compounds that can truly feed our bodies. We just don't. Most people eat terribly. And those of us that do eat great, we can possibly find additional ways to actually increase our products' high quality nutrition intake. So the first thing is to target a marketing necessity. Target the right people. Have you ever found that no matter what you say, some people are just going to say no? You've heard this in network marketing before. SW, 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 WN, right? Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? That's where that's coming from. It's not meant to be forget about them. Who cares? That's not it at all. It's meant to say you're targeting the wrong person right now, and they'll come around. Maybe they won't. Number 2, the first step after targeting a market and the people that you want to talk to is to look for a cost-effective and professional way to engage that person in what you have to offer. We might look at that as building relationship of trust, building a foundation on which we can collaborate, right? It has to be something that they want as well. They have to be on the same page. They have to be on the same mission that you're on. And maybe even not already on it, but willing to get on it and participate in it. Rule number 3, take the time to explore. Explore what is happening in their business, in their financial lives, in their health. Maybe a sentence like, let's explore your business situation or your income situation to see if there are needs to fulfill or opportunities on which we can capitalize together. Wouldn't it be nice if there was an organization, right, that presented itself in that manner, where we could simply come to people and say, I want to help you, but let's talk about ways that we can help one another. In medicine, one might refer to this as prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. Think about that sentence for a second. Prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. You cannot give a prescription for something if you don't even know the diagnosis yet. Too many times in network marketing, we do exactly that. Here's the prescription. Doesn't matter what the problem is. Doesn't matter what your concerns are. We already have the solution. We already have the cure. Well, that breaks this trust barrier. Number 4 in our 6 rules is to collaborate. If at this point, or after an in-depth exploration of a prospect situation, the collaborative salesperson is going to talk about what they have to offer, their products and their services. And for us, that's NEWEARTH products and NEWEARTH business opportunity, the services that we provide. They may or may not be interested in both, one or the other. It doesn't matter, because at that point you're talking from a position where they understand, and you're talking about benefits to them. And the net result of that is, naturally they're discussing the context of the prospect's needs or opportunities, right? But at that point, you're not dictating a solution. You are forming a partnership in which they have an active role in searching for the best solution. That collaboration phase is probably the most important part of network marketing if you're trying to help someone build a business. Because if you're not collaborating on them building a business, you're directing, and they are no longer an individual owner. They're not a business builder. They are someone that is going to wait for instruction, and you're going to set yourself up for someone that is not pursuing a passion, right? They're simply waiting for you, and maybe you've had this happen, to build the business for them. And that's the last position anybody wants to be in. Number 5, confirm. You got to keep in mind that in every phase of a collaborative process like this, that you've communicated well. You need to confirm that. So a high trust person isn't going to move on to the next phase of bringing somebody into the business unless they've received assurances that the prospect or the person that they're working with is in agreement with them on everything that they've discussed. Have you ever had the opportunity at the end of the process, when you're about to enroll somebody and then they start to see the dollar signs on things? They start to see what the enrollment package is going to look like and how much that's going to cost, and maybe they're concerned about it. And this is whether they are a product user or a business builder. They start to ask questions at that point. It may be that after collaborating, you didn't spend enough time confirming and informing and then reconfirming the information, because at that point, nothing should be a surprise, right? Confirming what is going on is the logical conclusion to an ongoing communication and problem-solving process. The only way it would be otherwise is if you're not solving their problem. And then what happens? Well, we have a money-back guarantee, and they will probably use it. And that gives them an out to say, well, I was duped, right? Don't give them a chance to even think that, right? Number 6, Assure. Assure them. The number one emotion for a brand new network marketer or person that's joining into a network marketing organization, even if it's as a customer, is fear. Did I do the right thing? I'm unsure. It's not buyer's remorse. That's what you get in retail. It's fear. Is this real? Is this accurate? Is this true? Can I do this? All those other emotions start to jump in. A high trust professional network marketer, this is their moment of differentiation because they're getting details on a micro level. And what it represents is an obsession with quality, customer satisfaction, professionalism, and a primary focus on the fact that you are going to be intrinsically and heavily involved in helping them build their business, and they're then going to do the exact same thing. But you're never going to build it for them. You're going to train them and teach them and guide them the whole way. Turns out that it's a philosophy. This whole thing we've been talking about, high trust, network marketers, it's a philosophy and a practice that is being used more commonly today by an enlightened network marketer. And I believe, personally, that it is the sales process of the future. Because this business plan, there is no better business plan on the planet than network marketing. I don't think it's better described or better founded than anywhere than at NEWEARTH. And added on to that, when we can use this philosophy to truly shepherd someone into the process, we're going to have the strongest sales platform in the world. And I truly believe that that's possible. So I'm going to, at this point, do something that I haven't done before. If you're joining us on the webinar, you have on that panel, the GoToWebinar control panel, you have the option of raising your hand. And this is gutsy. We typically don't do it because you never know what's going to come out of people when they raise their hand. But I'm going to actually ask if anybody has questions, because I feel like people that are going to join on a Thursday afternoon, they deserve special treatment. So maybe you weren't prepared for this. Maybe you haven't joined us on the computer. It looks like a number of people haven't. They've just joined either by their phone or some other device. So I might be asking this in vain, and we'll do it next week. But if anybody has a question, go ahead and raise your hand on the webinar right now. And I will actually turn on your microphone and give you a chance to either give us a testimonial or ask a question. And I could see a number of people joining us on there, and it looks like a lot of people have joined on their iPhones or iPads, and so maybe it's difficult. I'm actually going to reach out to one person in particular. There you go. It's exactly who I was going to ask. Charlotte Carrera, you got your hand raised. Glad you figured that out. I'm going to unmute you. How you doing, Charlotte? Can you hear me okay? It might be that your mic isn't plugged in or one or the other. Ah, goodness. Well, see, this is why we will work things out over time. Yeah, Charlotte, you got your hand raised and your mic is unmuted, and you are connected to the audio. So it looks like you might just have a problem with your microphone. Sorry about that, Charlotte. Well, tell your friends, pass it on. On these Thursday calls, we're going to have a lot more audience participation. So feel free to join in and make sure your mic is working. And I'll call you, Charlotte, afterwards, and maybe we can work that out and see what happened. Thank you all for joining us this week on this not an opportunity call. Look at this habit that I fell into. I want to say thank you for joining us on this boot camp call, this rare Thursday boot camp call. Reminder to follow us on Twitter and Periscope and register. If those of you that I notice a number of you are joining us on the phone, register for this Thursday webinar. You're not going to be able to raise your hand and truly participate in the webinar unless you are registered. And most of you today looks like are joining us on the phone only. So definitely sign up and register so you can participate in an interactive way. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this call this afternoon. I'm looking forward to these. They're going to be a lot more interactive and a lot more fun. I will be out of the office next week. I will be out and about, traveling and seeing the world. Not the entire world, just a certain part of it. But we will actually still have these calls next week. Okay, so Tuesday and Thursday next week, we're still going to have them. Don't forget. And I will see you again on Tuesday. Have a great evening, everybody. Good night.